Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. I am Elliot Jackie Hope Glass, Mama, Navy vet, certified doer, and the laced up legislator for the House of Delegates, 93rd District. Honored and happy to serve. Honored and happy to serve. I'm going to get a second, sort of give you guys a brief over where I'm at, what I am today. I'm going to be real quick. So if you got questions, you got comments, throw them in the chat because I probably got about 15 minutes. 15 or 20 minutes. I'm out of town. And I've been taking in a lot of information. So today I just want to pack a real good punch. I want to pack a real good punch. We got some stuff to do. We got some stuff to talk about. And then I got to get going because I'm in the midst of work. Good Thursday morning. Blessed am I so grateful to be here today. I'm Delia Jackie Ass, again, Mama, Navy vet, certified doer, and laced up legislator. And you doers are here in the morning. Good morning, Mr. Little. Good morning. And I'm grateful to have you here. I want to preface by saying I'm on a learning trip. So I'm in learning more about the circular economy. If you look at my website, part of what I'm into is how do we effectively reuse the things that we have, whether it's clothes, because that is a huge portion of our landfills, or whether it's food, all these different things. So I'm doing all the practical things right now to do more learning about other practices with other folks here. Hopefully it'll bring back some really amazing things. Question is, are you on the ballot? I am on the ballot. I will have some yard signs too. They're not the typical politician yard signs. I decided to switch it up because I think we need to switch things up. Yep. It's David James says it's too much going on to cover this morning, which is why I think this morning we have such a simple message. There's something so simple and clear about what I'm going to try to get across to y'all this morning. All right. Hello, good morning, Daniel. I appreciate you. So let's get into it. It's real important. There is a quote that comes to mind that says, "What passes for identity in America is a series of myths about one's heroic ancestors." That is James Baldwin. I'm going to say that in again. What passes for identity in America is a series of myths about heroic ancestry, about one's heroic ancestry. And I want to sit with that for a second, doers. Baldwin, what he's doing is he's naming something that we're all feeling in a moment. And this, I feel like in this moment, false narratives and linguistic gymnastics where people play word games to dodge accountability. It's a moment when it's that time when I tell my son, stop sitting on the couch. And he says, I'm not sitting, I'm hovering. The words change, but the truth doesn't, right? And right now, people are hovering on the edge of truth and rewriting history in real time and hoping that we don't notice, or maybe that we just won't fight back. There is a book called Lies My History Teacher Told Me by James Lowen, I believe. He calls this process that we see right in front of our eyes happening right now, heroification. If you haven't read the book, I recommend it. For me, it was a tough read. It took me a while to go through, but the heroification, I believe, is in the chapter that's called Handicapped by History, and it's a good read. So even if you just find that chapter of the book and read it, I would strongly suggest it. Lowen, he says on page 1 of the chapter, Handicapped by History, he defines heroification as the degenerative process, much like calcification, that makes people over into heroes. It is the degenerative process, right? Degenerative process. It's when textbooks turn complicated humans into flawless icons. It's stripping away the messy truth that might teach us something very, very real. So get it, right? Strip away the flaws. You don't tell the fullness of a person. Lowen also talks about this, like how Helen Keller, y'all know who Helen Keller is, right? Everybody knows who Helen Keller is. She was presented to us as this saintly, deaf and blind girl who overcame obstacles, erasing the fact that she was a radical socialist who fought for workers' rights. Yeah. read about it. She was. And he shows how Woodrow Wilson is praised for idealism while his virulent racism and military interventions are glossed over, right? So when we choose to idolize those that we honor, we do a disservice to them and to ourselves. We forget that we too, as humans, are capable of the same mixed greatness and failure. And that's the trap, right? That we're capable of the same mixed failure. Heroification, it isn't just about old textbook. It's happening right now. It's when pundits and politicians commit harm, and then they get to be rebranded as misunderstood patriots, right? I'm gonna say that again. Heroification is happening right now before our eyes. It isn't just in textbooks. It's when pundits and politicians get to commit harm and then get rebranded as misunderstood patriots. It's the same playbook, the same erasing complexity and elevating a myth. And I don't know about you, but it's something that I find myself really pissy about. Like I find myself I'm angry because I think about the times like the work that some of the work that I've done over the years of just like, how did our history books get this way? How do we not even talk about this side of the person? Whether it's walking into the halls of the General or not the General Assembly building, but of the Capitol building, and seeing Thomas Jefferson standing there and knowing the complexity of that character sitting right before me in what we would consider our place to do the business of the people. Again, it is that erasure of the complexity of this man, right? That he did harm. And so the other day, and the reason why I'm talking about this today is that the other day, a friend of mine, Stephanie, said, well, shout out to her, sent me this article by a guy named Christopher Armitage called The Civility Trap: Why Being Nice Makes Things Worse. And I'm looking in the mirror, y'all. Like I've been looking in the mirror at myself, like, what am I supposed to be doing right now? Like, what am I supposed to be doing? I feel like that even though I speak, like that is not enough action. Like it is just not enough. With the power that I wield, what I'm doing is not enough. It feels like I'm in my own trap of things. And when she sent me this article, it made things click a little bit more to me and gave me a little bit of urgency about choosing how I proceed. The article documents how civility norms are weaponized to protect bad actors while silencing those who resist. Again, things that we see right now. So when Fox News host Brian, whatever his name is, casually suggests on live TV that we should kill homeless people, the media called it controversial remarks and then move the fuck on, which is wild. When protesters confront lies, they're now not. They're told not to be divisive. Armitage calls this strategic incivility, and I need y'all to hear this: strategic incivility. It's impose social costs on norm violators. You hear me? You ready? Impose social costs, right? Lose your job on these norm violators. Refuse to treat authoritarianism as legitimate. Do not legitimize this stuff, and match aggressive lies with aggressive truth. And that is where I'm trying to find myself, is what is the aggressive truth? How do I keep doing? Again, the heroification of Charlie Kirk is not something that I'm standing on. Complex history. He points to this guy named Edward Morrow, of breaking the McCarthy spell. That labor movement, the labor movement winning this 8-hour workday strikes, right? I don't know if I wasn't around for that, but when he broke the spell. He won the 8-hour workday through strikes and in this thing called ACT UP. He saved lives by making the status quo socially untenable. And I'm trying to figure out what that looks like for us today. And I think we have to do that together because the evidence is super clear. It is super clear. Unlimited tolerance of intolerance just soars tolerance itself. I'm going to say that clear. The evidence is really freaking clear. Unlimited tolerance of intolerance, right? Tolerating It destroys tolerance itself. So strategic incivility, it's not violence. It is a coordinated refusal to be polite about injustice. So what now what, right? Where do we even go down here? Where do we go from here? When we feel rage at this rebranding of reality, I want you to remember two things, or at least this is for me too, right? Like this is me trying to have this conversation for me. When we feel like reality is being rebranded, remember this, you got to write it down. We are responsible for our own histories. Keep your own Anne Frank diary. I don't know who's going to pick this up. I don't know what's going to happen next, but I know what that little girl's diary did for us in the way we view history, the way we view the Holocaust. You're responsible for your own history, your own truths in this time. Capture the truth before someone edits it into some sort of childhood fable. That is your job. That is my responsibility in the role and position that I'm in. And that is yours too. We have to break the spell of civility, right? There's this civility spell that has been cast over us. And I'll say specifically in my party, right? And in the party that I sit in, that there is a civility spell. We don't owe politeness to lies. As Armitage reminds us, civility flows in one direction. It does, protecting the violators and constraining the rest of us. And so strategic civility means refusing to play the rigged game. And I know that can sound hurtful, harmful, or scary. You may be thinking like me, strategically, what does that look like? How do we refuse to play in a rigged game? Going back to I reject that blame. Before I close, because I said I can't be here too long, I see some comments and I'm going to try to go through them. But that's what I need you guys to write it down, break the spell of civility. Remember, heroification. Heroification is the problem that and call it that. What you see, call it just that. This degenerative process of making people into heroes, right? Like we have essentially erased the complexity of people to elevate a myth. And I need y'all to remember that. I need us to, at every rip, say, I just don't believe in, when they tell you the things about the folk, I just don't believe in heroification. I believe that they were a complex individual. I believe that maybe they did some things for our country, but also did some things to hurt us. We cannot keep rebranding these folks as misunderstood patriots, right? Like this is the work. So I'm looking and I see y'all. David James, thank you. You're doing more than most by far. I'm trying. I mean, like it feels very icky. It doesn't, nothing feels like it's enough. David James is on Instagram. So all of you guys on the other folks, when I'm reading the Instagram things, you can't see it, but like, it feels like nothing is enough right now. There's not enough. Brian Daniel says the FCC forces Kimmel off the air, but Kimmel still has his job. It's sick. It is. It's disgusting. Exactly. Remember what I said? Like, again, what had me frustrated was like, how did we get here? Like we've seen it before. This is the rewriting of history, right? The normalization of the bullshit. This is how we got here, right? This is how we got here. What that guy said, it was harmful. It was not just controversial. We know that I grew up at a time where homeless folks were coming up missing, right? Because people were just feeling like that they could just kill them. Like nobody cares about them. You think about some of the serial killers, which tend to be of a certain flavor, that have a number of them have strategically chosen people that they thought the world had written off. I am over the rebranding of serial killers and school shooters, right? Like they're these complex people, they're monsters. And we have to reject that narrative of not only heurification, but implied intelligence. They're just smart people who were able. No. They're violent, vile, disgusting monsters. That's what they are. And they made choices, and they should pay the consequences under the code of our law. Right? That's it. That's period. That's it. David James says it's hard to get folks to be honest with what they really believe and how they live versus family, community pressure. That's real. That's real. And I ask you to stay in it, right? Stay in it to the point where that your mental health does not fade. Because I've thought about having hard conversations or honest, but it's like, again, I don't know that it's honesty that's going to get us where we need to be. I don't know that is the thing that's going to help us have better conversations. Because again, like I said, politicians, pundits, the harm, yeah, they rebrand, and you just have to stick to a very clear truth. Right? Even in the face of that pressure, here's the truth. And like I said, we have to, a part of what was written by Christopher Armitage in the article is matching an aggressive lie with an aggressive truth. And that strategically you got to keep on it. Like, refuse to legitimize the authoritarianism truth, right? Like as legitimate. It's not legitimate. We have to put I don't know how we put the social cost, but I do believe in the power of the public opinion. And so that's why imposing those social costs on folks who violate the norms, right? The norm violators, do it. We have to do it collectively. It is enough of us. A lot of Republican voters with woke views and lifestyles. Yes. David James says that. I so understand, and I love how you just threw that one back at us, because that's for real. That's for real. It is a polar end of woke, in a way, woke in white supremacy, right? Like, you can be woke as far as understanding how, that's for us, like being woke was understanding the complexity of things, understanding why we are the way we are, and being able to articulate that. And then there is this other spectrum of woke where it's, the reality is there's an extinction of us, and we got to take our shit back, right? Like, I understand, awake to your group project, because being Black is a group project, and that we don't have the luxury in many cases to be individuals, in the same way that European immigrants and Americans get to be. So yeah, they're woke in their own way. Only One Misha says that's why the power dynamics seems to have shifted. That is why the power dynamics seem to have shifted. I'm sorry, I didn't see this while I was talking, so I'm not sure what you mean by that's why the power dynamics seem to have shifted. But I received the message. David James says Dems have an opportunity to become a real party of freedom. Yeah, I agree with you. And a real opportunity to be a space of freedom. No joke. Definitely. Civility. She said civility is why the power. Yes, I do believe that. Like I said, the article, if you get a chance to read it, it's called The Civility Trap: Why Being Nice Makes Things Worse. These, as he said, these civility norms are weaponized to protect the bad actors. And silence other folks, silence anybody who resists. Absolutely. I do believe that is why, that is how the power dynamics have shifted. And so we do have to find our way of being strategically uncivil. I'm with the good morning, Hot Girl Holly versus HBIC. Oh, love it. The Bureau for, I can't even get it, bureaucratization of war. Yes. All right. So let me close. I still took the whole 30 minutes, and I'm supposed to be somewhere, y'all. It's fine. Everything's fine. W.D. Du Bois, he said that the cost of liberty is less than the price of repression. The cost of liberty is less than the price of repression. There's also a quote in Lies My History Teacher. Let me find it. I thought I had it up. That's quoted in that first chapter after what passes in America for is a series of myths about one's heroic ancestors. That's a quote by Baldwin. But there's another one by W.D. Du Bois that says, one is astonished in the study of history at the reoccurrence of the idea that evil must be forgotten, distorted, or skimmed over. We must not remember that Daniel Webster got drunk, but only we must not remember that Daniel Webster got drunk, but only remember that he was a splendid constitutional lawyer. We must forget that George Washington was a slave owner and simply remember the things we regard as credible and inspiring. The difficulty, of course, with this philosophy is that history loses its value as an incentive and an example. Right? When you have people we put this pureness on them, then we can't relate to history. And this is not only our generation's problem, it's our kids' generation problem. They can't relate to the history of the past that could teach us about what's happening right now, is because it has lost its value. It is, I'm sorry, I went on a tangent, but the rest of the quote says, it paints perfect men and notable nations, but it does not tell the truth. It paints perfect men and noble nations, but it doesn't tell the truth. It doesn't tell the full story. There is our issue. And so with that, I shall say that let's carry that today, understanding that the cost of liberty is less than the cost of repression. Baldwin said it, and not Baldwin, Du Bois said it, right? No more hero myths, right? No more of that. That is what got us in. That is the same class. We all sat in the same classrooms and got lied about, folks. No more polite acceptance of cruelty. Tell the whole story. We are messy. We are human, and it is ours, right? That story, the story of these United States, the story of what is happening right now. It's messy. It's human, but it's our story. Okay? But it's ours. And do not let, like I said, I am vehemently opposed to accepting the idea that every white man in history was a hero, and that people of my ancestry have nothing to contribute. That there wasn't, that there was a time when Irish people, Asian people, like all that, like that is the reality of this country. There's no denying that we are complex, but we have a responsibility now to log our truth, know that the playbook, remember, when you're having these conversations, you need to articulate, I understand the playbook that has worked throughout history in these United States, erase the complexity of the situation and elevate a myth. I reject it, right? Like you are not telling the full story. You are also elevating this myth because it's not a truth. It's not a full story. I reject it. And in that same vein, like I said, the two things you all need to do is write your own shit down. Write it down. You are responsible for your own history. Keep your own Anne Frank diary and capture the truth before someone edits it into a children's fable. It is the truth. Break that spell of civility. We don't owe politeness to lies. You do not owe politeness to lies. You do not owe politeness to lies. And in that, again, in that article, what that Armitage wrote that I told you about, he reminds us that civility flows in one direction. It only flows in one. You're usually not going to get it back. I'm not protecting the violators, and I don't want to protect the violators and constrain myself. If you're interested in protecting the violators and constraining yourself, then choose civility. But it has to be it is strategic incivility that he talks about. So don't just go out there cussing folks out. That's not what I'm saying. Strategic incivility means refusing to play a rigged game. The game is fucking rigged. It's rigged. Okay. Let me say that again. It's rigged, right? It's rigged. So make a choice. I am so grateful that you all chose to be here this morning. David James, I'm with you. Is that there are some old school Republicans who are tired of what's happening. I do agree. The Hope playbook. David James said the whole Obama won on it. Zahan's going to win. Zahan's going to win with it. Yeah, we can do this. It doesn't feel good, but it really, we really can do this. Oh, Brian, I'm glad. What's the name? I'm so glad. Why I say Brian? Yeah, Brian, I'm glad. Yep. Brian says, I really enjoyed the boombox bike ride. What's the name of the last limit? So I'm wrapped up. I'm wrapping up because, I got to get going. I really enjoyed the boombox ride. What's the name of the last living Negro League man who wasn't there? What a legend. I can't wait to meet him. So his name is Sam Allen. Sam Allen is on this. He stays his stomping grounds, the South Side. But he's an amazing guy. I'm so glad you came to the Boombox bike ride. I had a good time. I think we need to do it again. I think we need more places to convene and just be humans. I am trying to rewild myself because I haven't gotten out a lot. We spend a lot of our time indoors. We spend a lot of our time at computers, and we need to rewild ourselves and ground ourselves in the outdoors. That is missing. You're seeing all these hard lines. We need to see soft lines. And what Daniel's referencing is for what you guys, if you've seen some of my posts lately, I've been trying to help folks understand that I have to keep a day job. And part of that is audio production. And we've been producing these stories called Truth Be Told Virginia, in partnership with the National Park Services and the Elizabeth River Trail. My partner and I are producing 12 stories to live along the trail. All of these stories are contemporary Black history. So I'm super interested in holding on to the history of the living so that we can sort of connect with it. And Sam Allen was a Negro League player who now the MLB has recognized the wrongdoing that they did to Negro Leagues. Like, why do we even have a Negro League? Why do we have HBCUs? Like, the complexities have been missing. And they want to make these conversations into something less than. So thank you for coming out. I appreciate you. Good morning, Ms. Roslyn. Good morning. Good morning. I appreciate all of you all for being here. Virginia Blue in November, and then a super focus on the midterms. Midterms are extremely important. Yes, David, they are extremely important. Y'all be kind to yourself. Remember that, doers just get more done, and it doesn't have to be some huge act. It is the little things, little choices that we make day in and day out. If I could say one last thing before I hop my tail off of here is start writing. You need a journal. Get a journal right now. I don't care if you write a line a day about what's going on in your life. You are responsible for your own history. Do not let someone else tell it. Thank you to Anne Frank for being a little girl that chose to journal to give us what we have today. Somebody's real firsthand account. A child's. Make your kids write. Do all the things. All right. Until next time. I will see you on the flippity flop and leave you with James again. We no longer want to be in America where myths about one's heroic ancestry are the norm. Reject the myth. Embrace the complexities and accept nothing less. All right, y'all. I will see you in Norfolk when I get there. Be well. Bye. Oh, my bad. I would be wrong. If you believe in the kind of work that I'm doing, make sure you invest in it. You can go to delegatejackieglass.com. If you believe in the work and the way that I do the work, you can invest in it. Go to delegatejackieglass.com. I'm gonna say that twice to my team so don't nobody be fighting me over being a broke ass politician. It's just how it works, All right. Be well. Be kind. See you. Miss you too, Miss Roslyn.